And we created our nonprofit organization to fill a void for the community, to help individuals who are underserviced find their voice, hence the name Empowered Voices Rising. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of Empowered Voices Rising podcast. My name is Danielle Huff, and I'm the executive director. And we created our nonprofit organization to fill a void for the community, to help individuals who are underserviced find their voice, hence the name Empowered Voices Rising. So I have my guest here, Dr. Ronica Watkins-Babers. Did I say that correctly?
You said it correctly.
Okay.
You said it.
And she is a wonderful leader. Dr. Watkins obtained her PhD in urban planning and public policy from the University of Texas at Arlington. And she holds a master's degree from Maxwell School of Citizenship and Public Affairs. She is the author of the book, Women in Leadership, The Power of She, and it discusses women's triumphs and challenges while navigating the complex roles of leadership. So can you tell us a little bit about your book?
So I work in a male-dominated organization in a public entity. So finding my voice has been a really challenging thing for me. Mm-hmm. And it's just like this double-blind standard when it comes to how women express themselves versus men express themselves.
Okay.
So it kind of came, the book was actually a venting session, me writing out, journaling my emotions, going through a tough time at work, where it was a very challenging implementation of a financial system. No one listened. I'm a working director. We went live and it didn't go well at all.
Oh, wow.
So on the other side of it, everyone wanted to say we did it together. Mm-hmm. But on the front side, when it's time to make a decision, I was the only one that didn't want to go live because I said it's not ready. So it's just navigating through all of that. Mm-hmm. This was the last straw. It just didn't start. I think there's this double standard. We can talk about minority women versus white women. I don't know, Caucasian women. Should we say Caucasian? But I think there's this double standard. And even a lot of times with black males, with black women, I think there's just a double standard that we all have to deal with. Do men second guess themselves in speaking up in I would say in a setting? Do we dissect how we speak up? We want to make sure, is this okay? I think it's the second guessing because we know there are societal norms that tell us to act a certain way. But I'm learning that it just depends on who it is, because I don't want to get political, but now people can act the way they want to act and it's okay, versus we're always having to be in this structure of how we should conform to the norm. So it was an outgrowth of that. Started off as a venting session. It turned into more of a motivational because of a lot of the things that I experienced. I didn't have anyone mentoring me through the process. And so with my staff now, I'm really quick to make sure, hey, come to this meeting. Make sure you understand what's going on, not just the women, but the men, young men as well, because I only was put in a position if my boss was on vacation. It was a white male. And so once he left, it left a big void, because some people was like, oh, I didn't know she was an assistant director. Okay. So it was a really challenging time, even through the transition after he left, because I don't think he would say, looking back on it, I truly believe he would say he probably should have handled it a little differently. I think a lot of times for minority women, where you are is just good enough. You should be okay with being at that assistant, the second level versus the top level.
Right.
So it's all of that was encompassing in the book. And then winning at it, and then the power that we all have. I think women lead in every aspect of our lives, from PTA, from the things you do in the home. I think my mom was a great leader. And so I think a lot of times we just take it for granted. Especially Black women, we put our head down and just do it.
Right.
And that's what we've been told to do. And I think people take it for granted, just generally. So.
Well, thank you for that. And with that said, today we're going to talk about women and mental health. And doing some research on the subject, preparing for today, I looked up some statistics, and it states that 27% of women in the United States are living with a mental health condition. That is alarming. And it also says that women are 7% more likely to be diagnosed with a mental illness than a male. 7% to 4%. That's serious. So let's talk about why we think that is.
I think because of women generally, we do just do it. You know, we don't get to say we don't feel good, especially time your mothers, and you are just making sure everybody else is okay. And then we take care of ourselves. Third, fourth, fifth down. I agree. And so I think that's part of it. And then I think in the Black community, we just never really talk about mental health.
True.
And counseling has always been like taboo. I think just in the last maybe 10 to 15 years, people start really being okay talking about counseling's okay. And I think counseling helps with the mental health part of us as far as having an outlet, because we internalize a lot of stuff. Even growing up in a Black family, you don't have healthy dialogue, which I think is truly important for good mental health.
Yeah.
You don't say that out in public. We keep our stuff business, it's family business. What does that mean? You look back at that. What does that mean? So I think all of that, you just my brother goes to counseling. He's gone on and off because we're a sum total of who we are. So all our experiences culminate to who we are now. And in his marriage, he realized there were some things that he needed to work through so he could be a good husband.
Right.
And so I think a lot of times we don't feel comfortable doing that. So we suffer in silence.
True.
Or, or we just go along to get along.
Yeah.
I don't think that's good for your mental health, just to go along and get along.
Well, of course not. And I also think that number is so high for women. It's higher for women because we will go eventually where males will not.
Yeah. This is true. I agree.
So what do you think are some unique mental health challenges we face as women as compared to men?
I think for women, we have to be strong. I don't know if that's just a subconscious thing we feel. I think most people are okay if we say, I'm not okay. But I think for some reason we think we can't express that we're not okay. I think also that through the pandemic, you saw more mental health challenges because we were forced to sit still and deal with a lot of stuff we were not dealing with. And I think that's when you saw a rise in mental health challenges that people face, especially in the family homes. You saw a rise in domestic violence.
Yes.
During that period. So a lot of time is because we're always living a fast-paced life and we don't deal with it. So that's a challenge. You have so much stuff going on. Then I think the stigma that exists to say I'm not okay.
Right.
And then sometimes it's just finding that tribe that you can express yourself. And I think expression is really key. I think women do a way better job than men, but it's healthy expression.
Yes.
Not a lot of drama, but we can be very dramatic as women. I know that, but I think there's a balance with being expressive without being physically violent. I think that's two different things.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that's how we saw growing up. That's the reason why some people act out, because maybe that's what they saw. Of course. And we don't have anyone to role model it, I don't think. A lot of us. I didn't. In my family, we didn't have a lot of role modeling as far as how to handle conflict or how to express ourselves. We were mostly told to be quiet, stay in a child's place. And so I think it's really a challenge to get to that balance of what's okay and what's not okay to say.
Right, right. On that note, growing up, my mother was not very emotional.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like that's how I had to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my dad was the one who gave me hugs.
No,
My mom, I loved her to death. And she loves me. We have a great relationship. We always have. But you're right. We were told to just bear it and keep it going.
So did your mom have a role model? Because a lot of times there wasn't a role model for our parents either, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, my mom is a product of a divorced home.
Okay.
Very strict religious family. Her mother was religious and her dad was not. So I didn't see very much of it, but I got bits and pieces of their relationship growing up.
And see, on the flip side of that, we grew up in the church, but for me, the church was this authoritarian rule. It wasn't a lot of love. Generally it's telling you all these rules. If you break, you're going to hell. So, but as you grow, you realize God is more than that. God is a God of love. Right. And so then you find yourself saying, well, I really wasn't taught about the love of God. I was just, so then if your parents, that's all they're around, then how can they express that to you though? And so I think that's part of it too. So it makes you have to totally reevaluate even your spirituality, because God is a God of love, and most definitely, and unconditional love, So I wasn't really taught that growing up.
I can say I was not either.
I was taught if you make a mistake, you need to be punished.
Yes.
And so my sister got pregnant at an early age, and she was taken before the church. This is a young lady at 15, 16 years old in a Baptist church taken, that's traumatic.
Yes.
And then all these other young girls around is like, oh my gosh, I can't mess up.
That's not the first time I heard that story. Not from you. It's from a different individual told me.
They called it church.
Same thing.
They called it church, but you look back on it and thinking, was that love? That wasn't love. There's some better ways we could have handled love.
Because it completely turned her away from the church, the community, and...
Or does the opposite. My sister, it made her feel obligated, that she got to feel worthy. She has to work herself to be worthy of this love from these people. So it was the flip for her.
That's not the love that we're working towards, working for.
So I think all of that goes into mental health.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that we do good a job. Mothers are, like my mom was a strong mother, and she was dutiful, and she was the one that kept a structured plan. But I think it was really hard for her to truly be expressive, to say that mama's not doing good today, mama's having a bad day.
Right.
Or it's okay that you guys don't feel like doing whatever. It was like, you got to do it. It's this regimented style of parenting, which is okay. But I think go back to working, you have to have some type of balance.
Right. Okay. So, with that said, women in high-stress professions, we often face burnout. What are some ways that women can manage their work-life balance to protect their mental health?
So if you ever go to my Instagram, you'll see that I allow my other side to show more so.
Okay.
So, and I tell people I've gone to school and did all these things that I had to look this way, I had to get this, do this, to be in this standard that society has given us as far as to achieve. So you really don't look at the creative side or the fun side. Most people would tell you that she's really serious, she's not very fun. But my staff see that other side of me because I'm at a point in my life I'm just free to be me. All of it's me. And it's okay, and I show that to them because they're all in their 20s. And I want them to experience something different. They're all minorities too. So I want them to understand that they can set the standard and still be professional. They're smart people.
Right.
They have great work ethic. They're in their 20s, and you hear people talk about, oh, these 20-year-olds don't want to work. I haven't had that problem. Sometimes it's just not a good fit. So you got to find someone with a good fit. So I believe you have to show, now everybody don't get a opportunity to see all sides of me, but I'm goofy, I'm fun, I'm, all of that stuff that you've been said, you can't show that because you got to be professional, whatever that looks like.
Right.
But you see on my, I know our executive producer said that, he said, you need to show more of your book, because I've gotten on this trail of showing all this funny, quirky stuff that we do in my office. We have Snoopy Christmas at this point. We do little dances, and I post it, and I'm okay. It's okay that it doesn't have to be perfect.
True.
So I think for us as women, we've always had to have this standard. But for me, if I post something is wrong, and I'll freak out. I used to freak out. Oh my God, I gotta look a certain way. I just say, oh, okay, I'm still learning. Okay, it's okay. It's okay not to be perfect, and I tell them that.
So giving themselves
because I'm my worst critic.
Yeah,
we're hardest on ourselves, and we're our worst critic. I went off on one of my bosses during budget season, and if anybody ever sees this, they'll know who said it. The white people said to me or messaged me, "That's not you. That's not very professional. You need to do better than that." These are the other white directors. The black people said, oh, they saw the girl from Tulsa. They saw the other side of you. It's all me, and I have to be okay that I'm human, and if you push me, I'm going to lose my temper, or I'm going to be frustrated with saying the same thing over and over again. And a white person saying it's okay, but you don't understand me. A white male says it. Or I'm in a room and you ask everybody else, and this is my job to do it. And so those type of dynamics can play on a person's confidence, so women's confidence and mental health, because you're already second guessing yourself. And so in a high stress job, you have to have work-life balance. You have to, for me, have that tribe. I had started just focusing more just on making sure I'm good at my job, but because I kept having these things that's happening with people on my job, I had to step away from it and have that balance. So I started going back to my book club and being around just fun, laughter with other women. And when the book came out, be okay that it may not be perfect the way that somebody else is doing it, but this is where I am at this point. And not be this like, I got to be perfect. But I don't know where that came from there. We think we have to be perfect. But I think for Black women, for the most part, we think we can't make a mistake, or if we make a mistake, it's the worst sin in the whole world. But ain't okay saying, hey, and I'm okay saying it, hey, I looked at that wrong. Okay, I misstated what that was. I think that's strength, but we have been told that it isn't strength, so you can't show your weaknesses. And so all of that goes into and plays into mental health. It does, because I tell you, I'll say before pandemic, anytime I make a mistake, I would be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened. They're going to think that, and I think you come to a point you really don't care. You have to not care. You cannot care. And you just got to raise yourself above all of that and say, okay, I made a mistake, or I stated it wrong. Oh, crap, I missed that, and be okay. I tell my staff all the time, I prefer for you to come and say, I missed something, than to lie or to cover it up. Because I deal with $1 billion budget, $1.7 billion. A zero can make, or a comma can make a big difference. So for me, I always tell them, hey, if you make a mistake, tell me you make a mistake. I shouldn't be able to see it, because I will find it eventually. But I said, or try to cover it up. And so I want an environment that I didn't feel I had, even though my boss was supportive. I drive a certain kind of car, and he said to me when I got it, he said, I don't think that looks good for you to show up with that kind of car. And I looked, I was like, I ain't stealing. I'm like, I'm not doing drugs or nothing. I'm serious.
I earned this car, yeah.
And so for me, that was something that I wanted to treat myself because I went without a car for a little while, catching a ride. But none of that mattered. But as soon as it wasn't like brand new cars.
Right.
So,
But for him to say that.
I called my brother, who definitely didn't care, but he didn't care for what was said. He went the other direction. So I mean, there's just these optics that for Blacks and Black women, we should be able to go this far.
Right.
And we want people, and so it's all of this double messaging that's told to us. So I think all that's important for mental health.
Yeah.
And so then you got to get to a point and say, you don't care, or I don't care. And if you do care, you got to shake it off quick enough to say, I can't care.
Yeah.
Or it's going to make me crazy.
Yes, I agree. So you made a comment about your tribe. Who is your tribe?
So my tribe, so the other day, I think on the phone, you weren't on it, on our EVR. Oh, you didn't tell me that, but I'm on the EVR board. But I get a sense of fulfillment to be with other like-minded people, that I don't feel like I have to compete, but everyone is striving for the same thing.
Yes.
So that's my tribe. So even though our executive producers don't really know it, it's a blessing to me to be able to have that as an outlet, even though I'm busy, but that's something that I choose to do. I don't have to do it. I choose to do it. My book club, even though it's Way and Prosper, it's once a month, I choose to do it, and I get so much joy from that.
It fills your cup.
It fills my cup. And then my family, I have it's 5 girls and 2 boys. Okay. So we have this group text, and we can go back and forth. And anytime I'm in Tulsa, I might not get to see all of them, but I at least try to see some of my family. And we've talked about this. I want to, before, go to White River Fish Market and just send a text and everybody show up. It may be 5 of us, it may be 15, it may be 20, but it's an opportunity to see those people, because I know that's that unconditional love.
And positive energy.
And positive energy is huge for me. Because at this point, I can't allow people to throw my peace off. And so peace is important for mental health. I'm at a stage in my life, I can't let energy throw my peace off. So I think that comes with, so my staff is younger, and they get so frustrated with how I'm treated generally, because they could see all the dynamics, and they say, you just bounce back so fast. Now, I'm at a point in my life, I think, that I understand what I'm dealing with, versus they're new into their career. And I always say, especially the guys, so when you're in a position of authority, remember this experience. Remember how I felt. Remember how you felt, how they're treating me. Then you do something different and be better. And so they usually start smiling. But yeah, I love my job. Are there challenges? Yes, a lot. But you got to be in it for more than just because I think some people like the power of it all and stuff. Now, I do it because I truly am a public servant. From way before I got to this point. So I know. Did I answer the question? Yes. I know I can go on and on.
And your tribe is very important.
My tribe is important.
Yes.
And at some point, this is what I always say too, because I was so busy, I closed myself off so that I had the schedule, I got to do this, but I make sure now that no matter what, I have to connect outside of it.
That's something I'm struggling with now.
So I went to school. I was taking 9 to 12 hours every semester. Life kept moving. So you start looking around like, people ain't waiting around till you finish. So you got to have some type of balance. Can I do everything? No. But I started being more intentional about the energy, like you said, that I'm around. Since COVID, I prefer to go to a wedding, birthday party, or celebration than a funeral. If I can make that, then I'm not going to break my neck to make a funeral. I'm serious, because for me, I want you to enjoy our interaction and be more intentional and just say, and something about the Black culture. My daddy used to go to everybody's funeral. But he would not. I was like, you ain't going to the wedding? I don't want to go to the wedding, but I'm going to the funeral. I'm like, what is that?
Oh,
So I don't, with the different suits and every color and stuff, I don't know what that is. Is that a Tulsa thing? Oh,
I cannot speak on that.
I don't know. People will break their necks to go to a funeral, but
Really?
won't go to a birthday party or some type of celebration.
So maybe it's because they know it's the last time they're going to see that individual. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
My mom does the same thing now. She'll say, "Oh, I'm going to the funeral." I'll be like, "They can't see you."
It's not for that person. It's for the people who are there.
So
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I am
I don't
so
know.
more like, I want you to see me. I want to enjoy you. I want to be intentional. Yeah. If I couldn't make your, now I know things come up, but I try to be more intentional about when people have things to go to that before I just automatically say I can't go.
Right. So I love it. All right. So how can
I know I'm getting edited out a lot.
It's okay. It is okay. We're good. All right. So how can we as women advocate for our mental health?
I think speaking up definitely it may not be all the time, but I think we need to be consistent. Unfortunately, sometimes we'll speak up and won't say anything else. Then we'll speak up, won't say it. But I think consistency helps.
Sure.
I think, I don't know.
That's a good point. That phrase, the squeaky wheel always gets the oil. I hear my colleagues saying that a lot at work. But I can see where, for myself, I might say something one time, but I might not even go back and say, if it doesn't correct itself at that point, I probably wouldn't say anything.
Yeah, I think we have to be consistent. I think you have to set boundaries with people.
True.
And part of setting boundaries is reinforcing when you've crossed that line. I think we do a good job of maybe saying it once, but not being consistently saying it. Because we second guess, well, I don't want to look a certain way.
Right.
I don't want them to feel a certain way. But at that point, it's about you and your mental health, I believe. I told one of my bosses, I won't go there with you anymore because I got to think about my mental health. And he just looked at me. I was like, yeah, because all that stuff you doing, I said, it goes against me and the energy that I try to bring to work. I said, so I will not go there with you anymore. So what would happen would we'd be in open court, but things we talked about, he'd pretend like he didn't hear it, and he's questioning me. And you get frustrated because you're like, I would say, remember we had this conversation. Remember we just talked about this. And so the next day, so people see this on video, he comes to my office. I don't think that went very well. And so this last time I said, I won't go there with you anymore. I'm just going to let you talk because I have to protect my peace. And I have to think about my mental health. He just looked like, I was like, yeah. And so for me, I got to make that a boundary for myself. Because sometimes it's like, I got to stick up for myself. But right now, I didn't giving you my boundary, and I'm not doing it anymore.
Right.
So,
and putting those boundaries in place is sticking up for yourself.
Yes.
Okay. So, what message would you want to give a woman that might be struggling with their mental health?
It's okay not to be okay. It's okay not to be perfect. It's okay to let it go. Because we try to control stuff. When you try to control stuff, that messes with you too. So I've really, and I'm kind of a control freak to a certain extent, but I've really had to just pull back and say, you know what? I have no control over what happens here.
True.
I had a situation just the last couple of weeks, and it just blew up in my face, and I stepped away from it, hurt my feelings. Literally driving home, I said, Lord, what was I supposed to learn?
Wow.
I was out of my lane. It was none of my business. I done stepped over trying to be all things to all people and help everybody out. So for me, sometimes we just got to be okay. Saying, I'll help you, but I don't need to take on the fight.
Right.
So we take on the fight. We get in the battle. We get our butt whooped. We do.
Because we're so passionate.
We're very passionate.
That's why.
And we say it's for the greater good. It's about being fair. And so at some point, you can only do so much. And then I have to say, I can't control what goes on after that and let it go.
Right.
So I would tell a woman that's dealing with a lot of stress to try not to control it and to let it go.
All right. Well, thank you for joining me today.
No, I've enjoyed it.
This was a great conversation. I'm going to have you come back and we'll talk about something else.
You tell me, books, Hallmark, I love romantic comedies. Any of that, definitely. And then we could talk about EV Rising.
Yes,
and what
EV Rising and what we stand for and our programs and services.
Definitely.
And for those who don't know, our website is empoweredvoicesrising.org. And feel free to check us out. I would like to thank our guest, Dr. Ronica Watkins-Babers, for joining me today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I've enjoyed it.
I'm glad.